In this video, I'm going to be making a tier list of all the meta units in Anime Last Stand as of the JoJo Godly update. If you enjoyed the video, maybe leave a like or subscribe, and do keep in mind that it is entirely my opinion, so don't go too hard in the comments. Anyways, let's get into it. Alright, here's what we'll be using to rank the units today. We've got Meta Hybrid Early, Meta Ground, and Meta Support, Good Hybrid, Good Ground, and Good Support. We have all these units here, and again, every unit on this list is good at something, among the best in the game for some reason. Anybody on this list is pretty good. If they're not on this list, they probably aren't near the top of the game, but don't be sad about it. Anyways, we're going to start off with Dio here, the unevolved, or evolved to once version. I don't think there's a reason to keep him in this form, but he is still a good support in it because he has his time stop and the cripple passive. Kira is definitely meta hybrid. I believe he is the third highest damage in the game right now with his detonation passive. Very, very nice. Giorno I'd say is good hybrid for now. He's not among the meta. He has kind of mid damage, and he does cost 700 to place, but he's alright. Diavolo might actually surprise some of you. He is definitely meta hybrid early game. Because he has Hemorrhage on placement, he can make a lot of use out of the Hemorrhage Soul, and then he also has very, very good damage, which we'll talk more about later when we rank other units here. Valentine, I'd say, is another good support. Valentine we just don't know much about yet. We don't know if his damage is too great. I haven't done much testing, but pretty much how that unit works is he has a random passive. He can get any passive in the game and randomly apply it. Then he also has an ability which rewinds enemies to the spawn, so he's pretty good. Gyro, I'd say, is meta hybrid, but he's definitely not among the best of them. We'll have to rank him better later, but he's pretty much just a really cheap, not hybrid on placement, but really cheap to get hybrid nature unit, so that's all you gotta know. His damage is pretty good. Johnny is actually really good. He is a meta ground, I'd say. I believe he's actually probably the best ground unit in the game right now, just because he has cripple and slow and very, very good damage. His only problem is that he's only ground, so. Pucci, definitely meta hybrid. We'll get more into that later, but he can also be used as a support, so whichever one you see fit. But he is, I believe, the 4th highest AoE damage, and then also the 12th highest single target in the game right now. Dio Over Heaven, best unit in the game right now, meta hybrid for sure. We'll talk more about how he compares to the Godlies when we rank the other Godlies, but for now all you need to know is that he's a full AoE light unit with both the Electrified and Cripple passive, which the Electrified damage is kind of hidden, so you probably didn't see that in my showcase video. A lot of people were calling him mid. Then he also has a time stop, which is very, very nice. Gakuin, I'd say, can be used as a meta hybrid early unit. He is pretty good for his slow on placement, and then he's kind of like Tatsumaki. I'd say they're kind of interchangeable, but probably Gakuin probably slightly better than her. Oni General, I'd say, is meta hybrid. I believe he's in the top 10 of DPS still, even though it's been a while. I think he's still very, very good. He has Black Flame and very nice damage, so. Buldera, I believe, actually has higher damage than Oni General, and he's full AoE and has the Electrified passive. He can definitely be used as a support as well. He's just very, very good. He's kind of like Pucci, but not quite as strong as Pucci. Dragon Princess, I believe her name is. Dragon Princess, probably good hybrid, actually really good hybrid. Only reason she's not meta is, I don't know, there are better damage units for sure. She is very, very good though, and then she also has the stun passive, but she's only a circle AoE. Hashirama, I'd say, is probably a good support. He can be used as just a cheap hybrid unit, but I'd say he's more support oriented because his damage isn't that great, but he does have the cripple passive. Rimuru, definitely a meta hybrid unit. Where would I rank her in terms of these, or him? Probably still behind Pucci, but very, very good. We'll get more units in here later to kind of set in place how strong he is. But Rimuru has a full AoE Fear application hybrid, which is very, very good, and then also has a pretty nice nuke ability. Yami is definitely meta ground. Very, very strong unit, but only ground. You know, this is a weird unit. He's not very good. I'd say he's probably either good hybrid or good support, but probably support just because he has slow. You wouldn't really use him for his damage. He's pretty mid, I'm not gonna lie. Ichigo, definitely a meta support, first of the category, but definitely not the best. We'll actually throw a couple in there right now with them. Where are they actually? Idol is definitely a meta support if you want to bring her for extra range, and then money as well. And then Yojin, of course, meta support, best farm in the game by far. Noelle, I'd say, is good hybrid, and she's probably near the bottom of it. She's not very good, she's just water with no passive or anything, but she is hybrid. Asta, I'd say, is another good hybrid unit, but actually pretty high up there. He's pretty good, probably right about here. He has nothing special about him, just really high hybrid damage. Julius, I'd say, is another meta support. He does have a time stop, so not that bad. He has also full AoE damage. Yuji, I'd say, is good hybrid, and he's actually pretty high up there. Pretty solid. He has extra crit rate, I believe 100% crit rate, and then a little bit of extra crit damage. Very, very strong unit for hybrid damage. Hakari, probably right behind him. Very good. He has, I believe, 777% extra crit damage, so very, very nice. These two are very strong. Megami is probably a meta support. I'd say it can be used as a meta support in leaderboard runs and infinites just to clear up bosses. Otherwise, he's not very good. He's just kind of a support only. And then Shadow Sukuna is kind of like the same thing, but not as support oriented. He has, if anything, just more damage focused. So if you want support only, then Megami is definitely higher than him. If you want the damage and the Maharaga ability, then yeah. Don't know what I was trying to say there. Pretty much these two are interchangeable. Gojo, definitely a meta hybrid unit. He does very, very good damage and has a nuke and time stop. I'd say probably about here. And he has a passive bubble around him, which slows down enemies by quite a lot. Sukuna, okay, our next godly on the tier list, probably right behind Dio. He actually does have higher damage than Dio, I believe, slightly, at least in single target. And then Dio is full AoE, Sukuna's only half, so I'd say Dio is probably better. And then for the godly leads, let's go ahead and bring Pride up here as well. So these three, obviously they're godly, they're towards the top of the game. You can only use two, and you can only have one as their lead. Pride's lead is going to be the best in my opinion, 20% flat damage to everybody on your team. Sukuna is going to be 30% range, I think, to everybody on your team, either 30 or 35. And then Dio is going to be an increased duration to like stun and electrified and stuff. It's a weird thing, I'll probably throw it on screen. But the thing about Dio is that he actually has a passive locked until he's like final upgrade for some reason. I don't know if it's intentional, but his godly passive, his lead, actually doesn't work until he's final upgrade for some reason. So I'd say for lead, you'd probably want Pride over Sukuna over Dio. Then for damage and the actual performance of the unit, Dio over Sukuna over Pride. Aizen's another good hybrid unit. He does have the stun passive. His damage is alright. I'd say he's probably right about here. Okiura, he's probably a meta early hybrid. I actually love this unit now that I've been using him. He's really good for slime portals still. I'd say probably right about here. He's very, very strong. I don't know if Gyro's actually better than him. I don't know. These two are kind of iffy, but overall, meta hybrid. Jester, meta ground. He is only ground. He has dismantle and pretty solid damage. He's just ground only. Nanami, I'd say, is another good hybrid unit. Probably right about here. Shinra's a good ground unit. Nothing to really say about him there. He just has ground damage only. Arthur is also a meta ground. He does very, very good damage, but he's ground only. Benimaru, I'd say, is a meta hybrid early. Probably right about here for now. He does very, very good damage. I think he maybe can do more than Diavolo, but he has to wait until his Black Flame passive, where he gets it at like upgrade 5 or 6. Without that, his damage is kind of mid on placement, so... On the topic of meta hybrid units, I'm actually going to bring up Rengoku real quick. I'd say he's right about here, second place in meta early hybrid. The reason Diavolo is actually better than Rengoku here is that Diavolo has his Hemorrhage on placement, which is very, very good with the Hemorrhage Soul. Not only that, but he can be placed first wave, and his damage is actually just way higher than Rengoku. I don't know if you guys knew this. I know a lot of people were mad in my showcase of Diavolo where he didn't get an ability or anything. But this unit actually has very solid damage, and Overlord Diavolo is actually stronger than a glitched Rengoku, so that is something to keep in mind. Although his upgrades are a little bit more expensive in the end, he's fairly cheap. Griffith is definitely a meta support in Infinites only. The reason he's a meta support, again, he kind of fell out of meta for a while. Then Pain got a surprise nerf where they just took his slow away on final upgrade, so Griffith kind of replaced him in the meta for that slow passive. Speaking of Pain, we might as well rank him here. I'd say he is still good hybrid, but probably nothing crazy. Probably right about here. I mean, his damage is okay, but like, I wouldn't recommend bringing him over anybody else really, now that he got his slow taken away on final upgrade, which is sad because I do have glitched on this guy. Shadow Tanker, I'd say, is a good support, not a very strong one, but he is a full AoE on placement hybrid cripple and pretty cheap to place. You don't really have to upgrade him at all. Division Captain, I believe her name is. Division Captain, she is a 20k placement, so very expensive hybrid unit with pretty solid damage though. I'd say she's probably right about here for now. Kafka, definitely meta ground. I believe he is number 4 or 5 in DPS right now, and he is ground only, very, very strong. Corrupted Skull Knight, this guy's really outdated. I don't know, I kind of threw him in here just as like a hybrid option. I wouldn't recommend going out of your way to get him if you're a new player, but he is okay. Probably bottom of good hybrid for now. Butterfly Breather, good ground. She's ground only. She has very good poison damage though. Saitama's probably another good hybrid unit, probably above Skull Knight just because he has a nuke, but they're all both kind of falling out of meta right now. Law, definitely a meta support, probably right about here actually. Very, very good support with his ability and electrified and slow, and very good early damage. Toto is kind of similar to him, so I'll throw them both up here right now. Toto is pretty much a ground version of Law. Toto has a stun passive. He does have an ability that rewinds the enemies, and he's ground only, so it's pretty much like a ground version of Law for the nature element. Garo. Garo is going to be probably a meta hybrid early, I still think. He's very good for just clearing Infinity Castle, like just placing him down and whatever. Yeah, he's still very, very good. He does have cripple on placement, only costing 450 to place. He can solo most raids and stuff. Guts is probably bottom of meta hybrid right now. He's kind of falling out of meta with the new higher damage options that we have, but Guts is still good. I know a lot of people may fight me on that, that Guts is no longer meta. I still think he's pretty good though. Division Vice Captain, this guy's actually pretty interesting because he is ground on placement, but he does get hybrid pretty cheap, and his damage is very nice. I'd say probably meta early hybrid and above Ulquiorra for sure. Very, very solid if you have him. He just isn't hybrid on placement, so... with that being said, I'll just bring Freerun up as well as a meta early hybrid option who is hybrid on placement. I'd say the only reason I'm putting her above Division Vice Captain is because she's hybrid on placement. Otherwise, I'd say the Division Vice Captain probably does a lot more damage. So, Freerun right here. Sun Jin Woo, definitely meta hybrid. I'd say probably right about here. He does very good damage. The only thing that's a problem with him right now is his cripple kind of counteracts Gojo's infinity thing. So, using him in infinites is kind of questionable with the current interaction between cripple and Gojo's bubble. Otherwise, his damage is very strong. Okay, Blue Admiral, this guy's really outdated, but can still be used as a support for new players. He's a full AoE hybrid freeze unit. His range is kind of small though. Jotaro, good ground. He's probably the bottom of it though. He is also very outdated, but new players, keep in mind, he is pretty okay. Shadow, I'd say probably right about here. He does have a nuke. He's full AoE. Pretty good damage still, but kind of falling out of meta. Lord Noir, okay, this is definitely a good hybrid unit. Probably, oops, where'd I put him? Probably like right about here. Very solid damage, he doesn't have a passive or anything, he's just pure raw dark damage. Shanks, I'd say, is a meta support, very, very important for infinite runs. Probably right about here above Griffith for his full AoE stun and decent damage. Shark Ninja, probably good ground, top of good ground if anything. He does have the slow passive too, he's just ground only. Animated Crow or Itachi, this guy's kind of getting outdated. I'd say probably near the bottom of good hybrid, probably the bottom of good hybrid actually. Naruto, still solid ground damage, probably right about here behind Shinra. And then finally String Warlord or Doflamingo. Doflamingo I'd say is probably right about here. He still can be used as a full AoE fear support, but with Rimuru in the game, he's kind of falling out of meta completely. Maybe even like here. Alright, I think those are the final rankings. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Of course, this is entirely my opinion, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. I thought I'd just make this tier list video kind of sharing the current state of the game, because I have played through pretty much the entire update, and I think I play a lot more than a lot of you who might be watching this, so thought I'd share for people who are confused. I know the JoJo update is kind of all over the place right now. Anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope to see you in the next one. Have a great day.